All right, so I think I did a video a few days ago or 2 days ago, and I forgot to. I think the bus came or something like that, and I wasn't able to finish it. Being in a partnership requires sacrifice, and I will tell you guys that I am so happy with my beloved. I am so happy with him. Like, I literally wake up every day next to him and go to sleep next to him, unless he has like a very big meeting or something, and like he has to sleep in the other room because she doesn't really get you up in the middle of the night, but like there's one feed, the 12 to 3 feed, where sometimes she doesn't go to sleep on time, and that's a really important time for him, for his alarm, because if she doesn't go to sleep until like 5, then he's like listening to her crying, so he sleeps in the other room. But other than that, we are so happy together. Yeah, we have arguments, and yeah, we're still learning about each other, and that's a lifelong process, but I'm so happy with him. I literally thank God every day for him, because he's the biggest blessing in my life outside of my child. But without him, there'd be no child. And so I thank God for him. And he's the representation of what it means to really manifest with God, like really surrender, and like that your dreams can come true when you really and truly sit down and write down what you want and allow God to like literally bring it to you. Um, because you can have great things in this life. But relationships require sacrifice. And I remember when we had an argument a few days ago that it was on something very silly, but it was one of those things where we both had a stressor, and it was like one of those things where I'm just gonna tell you guys straight up. I was in bed, and I have had a bit of constipation since I've had my C-section, and I really had to poop. I really had to poop, and I wanted him to watch her, and I was like, please just like take her for a second. And he interpreted it as me saying like, you always want me to take her, and da da da, and I was like, and he thought I was just like always like just handing him up. I just had to poop so bad, guys, because what happens after you have your C-section is that, and I usually have great bowel movements. I'm sorry, this is TMI, but this is also about like having a family. Like when after you have a C-section, your body does change, and so when you gotta go, you gotta go. And I hadn't gone in like a day, and she's about a month old, so my body is still kind of recovering, and also I'm changing my diet because to accommodate her. So, anyways, we had a big argument that lasted for like 2 hours, and it was on something very small, but it was a matter of like us compromising and sacrificing for each other, me compromising with him about what he wants and him compromising about what I want, and sacrificing so that we are both like, we're sacrificing ourselves for the other betterment of us in a relationship. And I think that a lot of people, they don't think about, well, am I sacrificing because I'm like losing something, or am I sacrificing for the gain of a better relationship? And that's really what it is. Like whenever like we have a conversation or something, and it's like one of those hard conversations about like, well, what do we have to give up to like be together? It's about like us being loving for the sake of our relationship. And I think that for me, I used to fight that so much because I had been taught, especially over the last, the years where we talk about like, and I hope feminists don't take offense to this, but like we can do everything on our own, and like we don't need a man. And so it's like I used to be like, no, I don't need you to do this, or like I can do this, or like you should do, like these different balances of like what it means to be in a relationship. And it didn't work in our relationship. So I had to relearn, like, oh my gosh, like I have to allow him to do things for me. I have to put myself in a place where I do things for him for the sake of our relationship, for the betterment of us rising together. And another thing I want to say is I'm very, very happy with him, but there are times where I want to go somewhere, and this is before the baby, and he's like, do you know, I want to spend time with you. And I was like, well, actually I have to go somewhere. And you have to think to yourself, like, yes, have your social life. And I remember when I was transitioning from being single to being in a relationship, and yes, I had manifested him. I was so happy, but I had to transition from like, oh yeah, I'm actually in a committed relationship with someone who wants to be with me until I'm 85 years old. I couldn't keep doing the things I used to do. And yes, I had acknowledged that I didn't want to do them anymore, but like your body is still doing something. And I remember him telling me, he's like, you're not single anymore. Like you're with someone who's committed to you. And I remember when he told me that, I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like, and then it didn't become a sacrifice, because what I was fighting was the idea of him leaving. So I would just leave before he would leave, and I would just create my own schedule so that I wasn't disappointed if we broke up. And I just want to say that the sacrifice is not bad, and it's not even a sacrifice, but it gets easier once you know your partner more and once you enjoy their presence. Like I don't even go out as much as I used to because I just love being at the house with my family. There's a lot of stuff that I've sacrificed in my life in terms of like we have a lot of things financially we have to work on, and I've had to sacrifice, going out as much and doing different things that I used to do even though I didn't have any money, but like spending my money more wisely now for the sake of my family and my relationship. And sometimes having to like put a repayment plan on the back burner for the sake of my relationship and knowing it's going to work out and not telling people about that because it's like I have other things. So it's not just the sacrifice is for the betterment of your relationship for the future. And I'm so happy with him. Like he would do anything for me, I would do anything for him within the bounds of us not being codependent on each other and not victimizing our realities. That's something that we're very big on. Like we don't like codependency. And so he keeps me in check for that, and I keep him in check for like being super dependent, super independent. We're interdependent on each other. And I love being in a relationship. I had such a great dating life, guys. I had a really, really amazing, fun dating life. But I would never want to go back to that because when you find someone that in this life that is willing to, for example, we haven't had sex in like no, hold on. Because I can't have sex for 6 weeks until after having, and I love sex, guys, but like 6 weeks because you have to wait 6 weeks. So it's been 4 weeks plus 2. So probably in about a month and a half. When you find someone who can wait and sacrifice that, even though we're living in this culture where you can have sex with whoever, and you can find someone who can literally be like, I can control myself and I can sacrifice that for the sake of our relationship. Why would you jeopardize that? You don't jeopardize that. Even if there are things that still need to be worked on. When you find someone who's faithful to you and can wipe the blood off the ground when you are bleeding out in the hospital after you have a C-section and bleeding out big parts of your body, you don't forsake that. When you find someone that encourages you and sits down with you and says, yeah, actually, we should be millionaires because $1 million is not a lot of money when you want to buy a house. Don't, and who was like, let's rise together. You don't let go of that. And the sacrifices are worth it. When you find someone who includes you in their family, when you've lost your mother, your grandparents who raised you, and a lot of other relatives, you don't let go of that, and they invite you into your family. Oh heck no! The sacrifice is worth it, people. It's not sacrifice when it's bettering your relationship. I think a lot of people are so discouraged and they think they can't have this great relationship because it's just not like we don't sacrifice as much anymore. We don't say like, oh, I'm gonna forgive. We're gonna work on this together. I'm gonna compromise for the sake of our relationship. People don't do that as much anymore because their morals and ethics are not the same. I mean, we are Bible based people, but and we're not Bible thumpers. Let me just make that very clear. Very liberal minded, the two of us. But in the sense of understanding the love of Jesus when it comes to each other, we are very into that. And so, yes, we're not perfect, but we're trying our best. And so don't give up on sacrifice when it comes down to the betterment of your relationship. It might be hard for you to let go of some things when you get into a relationship. But once you realize that this person is here to stay and they really want what's best for you and you want what's best for them, you sacrifice. Even when I asked him, I was like, why are you in a relationship with me? He's like, because I love you and you do great things and you're a good person. I asked him that months ago. And and of course there are other things in there, but you want to have a relationship where someone can actually lay down some parts of their life to make sure your relationship works, or else you can't be in a relationship with someone if they just want to do whatever they want to do and they don't factor you in. That's not a relationship. So I just wanted to say this, and more love, happy families, have faith, have God, but have a relationship with people have a relationship with someone that gives a crap about you enough to really factor you into their life, and not that they forget the parts of their life, but they factor you into their life so that you are a part of their life, not just an outsider. I remember when he told me that, it was the most beautiful thing. And I was looking at his family. He's like, here's your family. He's like, you're a part of my family now. Why wouldn't you be? You're as important and more important than some people in my life. And I was like, that comes from sacrifice and love, people. Have a good one.